I think this kind of counts as a self-own from Ocasio-Cortez. We'll get to it. But there's a really interesting poll that found the more people learn about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the more they don't like her. Let me just tell you why that likely is. For one, she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's made ridiculous gaffes thinking tax breaks were money and cost New York jobs. Also, she is a narcissist and she's egotistical. On Twitter, she talks about how she's the boss, she's in charge, you're just yelling from the cheap seats. She is a snide, mean person who doesn't know what she's talking about. Why would anyone favor her? Well, there are some demographic groups that do like her. But it's actually really interesting. There's a self-own in here a little bit. Let's read this. Josh Jordan tweeted, Gallup, as Americans become more familiar with AOC, the more unfavorably they view her. Her net favorable rating has dropped from -2 to -10, now at 31 to 41, was 24 to 26. AOC is underwater with every demographic group except women, non-whites, and 18 to 34-year-olds. Naturally, the replies to this tweet are everyone saying, so basically you're saying only white men like her? Literally no. Literally no. Okay, listen. 35-year-old non-white men also don't like her. That's the point. It's non-whites as a whole will show a favorability in her direction, but there's more than just four demographics, okay? It's not just women and white men. It's not just 18 to, okay, when they do 18 to 34, they also do like 35 to 54 and 55 plus, so there's more there. But everyone's outraged. How dare you say that only 3 demographic groups actually like her? Well, Ocasio-Cortez tweeted this. This is funny because my God, is she just so great at not understanding anything? And you know, I'm gonna add this bit. People often say, Tim, you make so many videos about her, and I always want to make sure I clarify. She has 3 million followers. She's left-wing Trump. When she becomes newsworthy and is getting millions of hits and views, and like, what do you want me to do, man? Right? This is news. This is what people are talking about. I'm talking about what everyone else is talking about. Chill out. If you want to know what subconscious bias looks like, it's a headline saying AOC is underwater with every group except women, non-whites, and 18 to 34-year-olds. So older conservative white men are considered everyone, and everyone else is discounted as an exception. Oh my God, she's so dumb. It hurts my brain. Well, we have this. I actually want to, this is from National Review, but I do want to make sure I pull up the actual Gallup poll to look at their data. But National Review says AOC's net favorability declines as name recognition grows. Likely because people learn about what she believes in and they think, whoa, she's nuts. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this right here. What is this guy here? The Energy 202. Labor opposition to Green New Deal could be a big obstacle. Let's talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and why everyone doesn't like her. Labor is opposing the Green New Deal. Labor unions, and I can't stress this enough. Seriously, I know you guys, you watch my videos. I've talked about this numerous times, but I seriously want you to consider this. And I want you to keep this within you. When labor unions, basically all of them, say, this is a bad idea, who is she representing? Who is she speaking on behalf of? Privileged, woke millennials? Sorry, that's not Americans. Americans have families and jobs. But let's get to the real poll. Ocasio-Cortez, better known, but image skews negative. They say, 2 months into her new job on Capitol Hill, AOC has become a much more recognizable figure to Americans. Half of U.S. adults were unfamiliar with her or had no opinion on her in September after her seismic primary win over the summer. But that figure has shrunk to 29% today. But the increased visibility has not improved her overall standing with Americans. Whereas the public had mixed views of Cortez in September, her image now tilts slightly negative, with 31% viewing her favorably and 41% unfavorably. We can see all this. Well, let's talk about demographics. All right, let me see if they have the demographics here. First of all, net favorability ratings by political party. Okay, so these are the various demographics they have. National adults. Across all adults in September, it was -2. Now it's -10, an 8-point drop. Republicans absolutely hate her, with a -47 and a -68, a 21-point change. Independents now overwhelmingly hate her. And for Democrats, they're somewhat positive in her direction, going up 8 to 41%, so a little bit more than half. That's pretty good for Democrats. Men really don't like her, -24, and women sort of like her. All right, this is important. Whites really don't like her, and non-whites like her. 18 to 34 is up, 35 to 54 is down, and 55 and older is down. So let's be real. You can't. This is what really is really frustrating. Listen, when you look at whites and non-whites, this is for all men, all women, and all demographics. But obviously, if you went non-white and 55 and older, you'd probably still find a negative rating. That's another demographic group. They can't seem to understand that. And when you look at men, minus 24, and women, only 4, that's for all adults, negative. All adults. No, white people aren't everyone, but they are the majority. And there are other people who aren't white and who aren't young who also don't like Cortez. Look at this. 18 to 34 is only 5 points favorable. It's not like people actually really like her. They're divided on her, even young people. Here's the bottom line. Americans have taken note of the meteoric rise of AOC, who went from a Manhattan bartender to a committee member on the powerful House Financial Services. Dear God. That's crazy in less than a year. But hey, you gotta love America, right? In less than a year, but their view of her has become slightly more negative than positive in the process. As a result, despite her undeniable uniqueness, AOC's image is now much like most of her congressional peers, whose negative ratings generally outweigh their positive ones. Even the Democratic Party wants to get rid of her. They want to get rid of her and Ilhan Omar and all the progressive far-left Democrats who didn't actually win. Okay, some of them did. But Ocasio-Cortez won through primarying, which I've explained to you in the past. Okay, so look, when we're talking about why people don't like her, yes, it's because people discover her policies are nuts. They discover that she doesn't know what she's talking about. But some people didn't vote for her in the first place. They just voted Democrat. And now they're realizing, wait a minute. She was just primaried. She only won 16,000 votes. Oof, wow, I really don't like that. Her favorable ratings are highest among the group she herself is part of. Democrats, women, non-whites, and young adults. Each of which represents a greater share of the changing makeup of the new House of Representatives. How Americans at large view Ocasio-Cortez will likely not factor much in her future, representing Queens and the Bronx in Congress, but given the national platform she's attained, her ratings may matter more as her career progresses, and as she attempts to pass sweeping legislation, like the Green New Deal she has sponsored in the House, which everyone hates, including Labor. Listen, when Labor abandons the Democrats, at that point, can't you just say, we know the Democrats have lost their minds? Like, I don't think the Republicans are perfect by no means. I think many of them have lost their minds too, not all of them. But the Democrats have gone off the deep end. I don't know what's going on. They've lost their actual constituents. Who are they representing? I have no idea. It's not me. I've been a Democrat most of my life, or at least to a certain extent. I hate voting. I don't like politicians. But let's take a pop over to Josh Jordan's tweet, the original one, and see what people had to say about the fact that when you break things down in a certain way, it looks like everyone who's not white likes her, when in fact it's only a 20-point swing. And women only have a 4-point swing. Listen, like, my God. Look, okay. I like AOC's willingness to fight for what she believes in, but this is another example of how Twitter is not real life. Well, I don't know what that's supposed to say. The sentence, AOC is underwater with every demographic except women, non-whites, 18 to 34-year-olds is kind of fascinating. You don't see how odd that is? Josh said, why is it odd? I don't have enough space to mention that she's underwater with 35 to 54, 55 plus men, whites, and independents, so I wanted to point out the only 3 groups she's above water with. How exactly is it that she's popular with non-whites but unpopular with men? Which number bends the final result more? Right, so this is an important point. We need to get way more demographics here to actually figure out who believes what. So, but this woman said, wait, doesn't this just say older white men? Women, non-whites, and younger folks like her by quite a bit. Aren't we Americans? And it's just like, how do you look at that data and make that assumption, right? This person said, except women. What a strange thing to say. Why is it odd? I'm not trying to give qualifications to every group. I'm pointing out that only 3 groups she's above water with are women, 18 to 34, and non-whites. It's not an attempt to diminish them and seriously get some perspective. Everyone's outraged. They're trying to make it sound like this is good for her. Let's point something out. Okay, back over at the actual poll. Nationwide, she's negative 10. Even with the support of non-whites, 18 to 34-year-olds, and Democrats, and women, she's still minus 10. Why? Because everyone who's 35 and up is unfavorable towards her. Everyone. Everyone. Even when it comes to non-whites, it's probably the biggest swing, except for Democrats, but that's political parties, so that makes sense. But, like, just look at the net unfavorability. When people actually learn about her, what do they learn? As I mentioned, she's egotistical, she doesn't know what she's talking about, and then she does this self-own. Well, it's kind of a self-own, and the reason I say that is because, no, not older conservative white men. That's ridiculous. Most people in this country have a negative view of you. That's it. Some of these groups slightly lean in favor of you, but a +5 for 18 to 35-year-olds is actually kind of bad, because that means, 45% of them don't like you? I don't actually know what the points that they're trying to use is, but I believe that's how it is. She said, the reason people know more is because Fox News has turned into AOC TMZ, so awareness is going to grow with GOPers. Jane Meyer Enwire has reported deeply on this propaganda machine. It will be aimed at any Dem they want. Nothing changes that. We can't be scared by that. Oh my God. Ed Krasenstein. This is Fox News trying to make their base think you are irrelevant. No, she's extremely relevant, and I want to make sure I stress that every single time. I talk about this, she has millions of followers, but I also want to point out, how do you have these people who simultaneously drag Trump 99% of the time, now having the same thing happen to Cortez, act like, oh, it's Fox News, what's the media doing? Listen, AOC, you ragged on Washington Post and PolitiFact. You are in no position to claim that Fox is propaganda when even mainstream news and left-wing news is criticizing you. But of course, she has the people who are jumping in to protect her because they want to prop up the leader of their tribe, of the progressive, weird Twitterati bubble. Not America. Labor doesn't like her. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Stick around. I got some more videos coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you then.